I have the honor and privilege of introducing Janica Pierce-Tucker today, and to put her role in our city in perspective, I need to talk a little bit about the Taft Law Firm. Is that it's been recognized as one of only 60 law firms in the United States to be a 2020 best law firm for women. Women comprise 45% of Taft's executive committee and 50% of Taft's compensation committee. The firms has had a managerial emphasis of bringing leadership opportunities to younger lawyers, lawyers of color, women lawyers. They're very much part of the leadership of this firm, and Janica is a great example of that. To tell you a little bit about Janica, originally, when she went to college, she went to the University of Tennessee. She's a volunteer, right? But she mended her ways and she went to OSU for law school, right? And became a Buckeye at that point. She's very much involved in the community. If you know anybody, and a lot of us know judges, when they go before the Columbus Bar Association to screen for recommendations before elections, it's a nonpartisan process, and Janica has long been on that committee. Janica is the partner in charge of the Columbus office of the Taft Law Firm, and she timed her elevation to that post perfectly to be in the middle of a pandemic and also to deal with riots, which were literally outside of our office headquarters. So Janica, I think we'd all be delighted to hear some observations on being a leader and a manager in the environment that we have today. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. And hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I have the chat up on my screen. So if folks have questions while I'm talking, as this is very informal, and I will definitely try to fit those in as I'm giving a few words. First of all, I'm so happy to be talking with the Rotary because I am a former Rotarian, member of the Grove City Club. And I was a Rotarian for almost 6 years, and then I had child, and I could not do those 7:00 meetings in the morning, but they were so convenient before I got a real life. So so I'm so happy to be here, as I truly believe in the Rotary and its mission, because my whole life has been built on service. So it's kind of been ingrained in me my entire life. And so being a Rotarian was not a hard sell for me when asked by some of my friends in Grove City. So I just wanted to Jim laid out very well, and I didn't even have to tell him to do that, laid out very well, kind of talking about leadership in these times. I think that the times that we are in right now has really challenged us in so many ways, personally and professionally. And so we kind of have to reach back and think about some of the things that we've been through in order to kind of get us past this point. And, one thing I wanted to share with you all today, when I think about my life and kind of how I've been able to be positioned at this moment and how some things that have helped me in my background, I go back to when I worked for General Motors. And so as part of my scholarship program for undergraduate at University of Tennessee, GM paid for a significant portion of my undergraduate education. But part of GM's program was you then had to work within different settings or different environments during your summer college years. And so they did like a rotation. And so the first year I worked on the assembly line and I installed windows. And let me tell you, that was brutal. And it was not, it wasn't the night shift where you go every day at the same time. I kind of worked one shift Monday, Tuesday, then was off Wednesday, Thursday, and worked the morning shifts the next time, alternating, always working on the weekends. Then the next summer, then I was put to manage the line. And so here I am, you know, a 19-year-old person managing people that are like my father's age, my whole family, my grandmothers, my grandfather, they all worked at General Motors at one time. A lot of them retired from there. And so here I am trying to tell folks who arguably could be at one of my parents' house at any moment what to do. And as I transitioned in that role, when I went back the third summer, I was in charge of what is the maintenance department. And the maintenance department is a big deal because that controls the plant. So it is the communication for the plant. And I will tell you, I probably made the most money in my life during that summer because you could work every day of the week if you wanted. And it was 12 hours a shift. But I also had to interact with everybody in the plant. So I was the voice over the intercom. I was the one that was kind of saying, hey, you've been down too long. What's going on? You got to get moving. But I will tell you that me being in that position has really helped me for where I am right now because I interacted with so many different people from so many different backgrounds, right? For so many different ages. And I had to be very humble in order to be in those positions because, again, I didn't know anything. And so here I am, though, with the responsibility to actually provide management. And this was not like, oh, there's some fake person behind you that is telling you what to do in your ear. There's no elf on the shelf. There's none of that. This is okay. No, you are out here. So there were a few times I was in meetings with the union because I did stuff that I was not supposed to, or and things like seniority and all of those things, they make a huge deal. And so you have to factor all of that in. And they didn't send me to some orientation that told me all of this. They said, okay, you're in college, you must know something, good luck. And so so because of that, I was able to kind of figure out who I was as a person. At that very moment, I had to realize, look, I am going to go and work somewhere else. Ultimately, this is not going to be where I'm going to have my career. And so I needed to make a decision like, I'm not here for this summer of 3 to 4 months to screw up someone's life, right? I'm not here but we all have to get the job done. And so when I approached it that way, where then my unit became more of a team unit, and then I wasn't fighting with the person who was in charge of kind of like I call him the union lead. I wasn't fighting with him. We were both trying to get great product out the door. And once I figured that out, my summers became so much better because I kind of came in the door with like, I got to prove myself. You know, I'm a female, I'm young, I have to prove myself in this environment. Whereas that approach was not what I needed at that particular time. And so I share that story because that a lot of the things that I learned and a lot of the people that poured so much wisdom in me during that time in which I was at General Motors has really helped me as we are at this moment. Right? Because at this moment, people are wondering what is going to happen. What are things going to look like? And they're asking questions that are very relevant, but not that we all have the answers to. And the biggest part of it for me, you all, is also there's a part where you have to be vulnerable and share your own experiences. And for me, that's how I've always led. So people who work with me, they may sometimes think I overshare, but I do that in a way because I want people to feel comfortable and know that you're not alone. Like, yeah, I'm afraid, I'm tired, I'm stressed out, and I never want people to feel like they're alone in this as we go through this. And so one thing that I stress a lot is the service that I provide to to others. I lead through service. That is what I do. When we first realized that, we're in this, we're going to have to shift everybody home, right? In March, I never forget, I left the office that day. I have a daughter who is 8 years old. She goes to Grace Christian School, and the school sent a message that was it was troubling, but at the same time, it kind of alerted me like, this is huge. They said, we're sending everything home just in case. And I'm like, well, why are they doing that? And when I tell you, when I pulled up to pick up our daughter, she literally had everything. There were teachers helping her bring stuff to the car. I mean, it's her projects, it's her books, it's all the things that she had at school. And so you get home and you realize, like, okay, this is a new day. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, what's next? And we're hearing the news. Everybody's talking. There's so many talking heads. You don't know who to listen to and who's telling us the truth or what we should be doing. And then we're also franticking, like we're not going to have toilet paper. Like it was just a mess, right? And so, but then I also was in a place that I had an office to run, and I had to make sure that we had to have a system in place where we could serve our clients, right? But we also had to have a system in place that our employees felt okay, because law firms were identified as essential, but also think about it. So I'm asking you to, on Friday, you were at a desk, and on Monday, you're maybe going to be at your kitchen table. And I just want you to pretend like everything is normal. Yeah, no, that's not, that's not realistic, nor is that going to work. So for me, I had to come up with ways in which we continue to engage our staff, our attorneys, to say, are you okay? What do you need? Oh, you need to figure out how to get a printer. Okay, we'll get one to you. And so it was just the little things. And if I was one of those leaders that was not accustomed to just rolling up my sleeves and doing the work, I would have been calling 10,000 people to get a printer to someone's house, right? Like, okay, no, I can drop that off. I'm capable of driving. I can do that. Or here's how you order it on Amazon. But the problem is it may take a week or so. But until then, let me tell you some other processes. So, but then it came to a time where, as a leadership of the firm, we started talking about, okay, how can we start to bring people back, right? And I don't know about you folks that are listening. If you've been through Columbus, downtown Columbus, in the last few months, it is heartbreaking, right? And so it is, you ride through here. It's very quiet. There's no activity. And I'm like, what magic am I going to say to get people to come back down here? I'm just like, I don't know how happy I would be. And so that meant that in order for us to say that our space is an option, not something you have to do, because one thing that we all have learned is the need to be flexible. As a leader, we have to appreciate that everybody comes from somewhere different. Everyone is not the same. So while I could be here in this space, there's other people that it is just humanly impossible. And so, but that doesn't mean that you don't provide value. That doesn't mean that we don't need your work. So we got to figure out how to do it. And so when we had to figure out, okay, how can we make this space in a way that people feel comfortable? So here I am. Remember, it's all about service. Is that I'm in with the office manager. We're filling up sanitizer because, we got lucky. One of our clients early on got approved to make sanitizer. And so we got like gallons and gallons of it from a place in Minnesota. And when I tell you, when it first came, there's no label on it. So I was like, who knows what this could be? This could be. I was like, but when you opened it, you realize, you know what? I'm not sure what is in it, but I think it can kill my skin. So clearly it can kill COVID. So we're going to follow some instructions, and we're going to, make these bottles up so that we have this everywhere. We made signs, and it was me. It was like, no, this is not something that you delegate. This is something that folks got to know, that we're here and we got to figure it out. I mean, we went through a lot of options through Amazon, sending things back, because some things, are not as how they are written, and they are not what you believe it to be. And so, but we had to do that because I needed people to say, look, if I have the courage to come into the space, I need to feel safe doing it. Now, while it was weird, it's kind of weird that you have a moment where you see like glass when in front of your receptionist, right? And you see that, and you can't reach out and touch people that you work with so closely. But through those challenges, I attribute that to just my upbringing as to getting through that, and getting through the moments where we are here now, that it's like, okay, we're here. I think people feel that people feel as though we're in a place, is safe enough that if they want to come in, they feel comfortable, and if they don't, they don't. But we also have a system that works at home. So then we get to the next part, and I think then this will also be a question that just came through about one of my biggest current professional challenges. So we were sitting all in front of the TVs, and we're seeing the murder of George Floyd. And for me, my biggest challenge was that I could not sit in a corner and cry about it. I could not just like check out. Because why? Because I had people that were looking to me to figure out what we're going to do. We're seeing our building get boarded up. We're seeing destruction happen in downtown, right? And we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? And this is happening in all of our markets. It's not just in Columbus. It's something happening in all of our markets. And we have an office in Minnesota, so right in the heart of where all of this is happening. And people are asking me questions, lots of questions, that I had to put myself in a position to answer them, but answer them in a way that I wouldn't then offend my fellow brother and sister, right? Not, and because I knew that folks weren't coming from a place of ill will. They were coming from, we want to help you. How can we help you? What can we do? And so I know that I have allies. I know that, but I just had to make sure that I didn't alienate them because of what I was processing as a Black woman. And so for me, that was like my biggest challenge. One of my biggest professional challenges, like I'm an employment lawyer. So my phone was ringing off the hook, right? Because they're saying, Janica, what do you want to do? And so I couldn't think about me. I couldn't think about me. And this was impacting me personally. But I had to think about, you got a job to do, and you have to figure it out, and you have to provide the best advice that you can under the circumstances. And that's what I had to do. And it was hard. It was hard because I couldn't necessarily turn off the personal things that was happening, but I'm a lawyer and I'm a counselor, and I have great appreciation for people who call upon my services, right? And I'm thankful that they listen to what I have to say, and sometimes they follow my advice. But most of the time, I don't tell them no, they can't do something. I just say we got to figure out a solution. But we were seeing just challenges upon challenges that I had a personal stake in, that I had to kind of remove myself a little bit. But I'm thankful, though, through that process, is that I can't tell you how many times that people who I represent, people who I work with, really genuinely cared about me, and it showed. And so even though that was one of my biggest challenges that I faced as a professional, as a lawyer, as a leader, I have managed to get through it. I have managed to get through it because our humanity is strong, you all. And I know that sometimes we look out of the world and we just feel like, who are these people? But at the same time, there's more of the good folks than the bad folks. And I truly believe that. So, and then another challenge that I am facing as a leader is that, okay, what happens when this pandemic is over? Because I believe it's going to be over. It has to be over. What's going to happen? How am I going to motivate folks to come back here? How are we going to just motivate people to return to what is a normal life, right? Because some of us have gotten very comfortable in how we're working, and for the most part, once we got the systems in place, everything's flowing well, right? But I just feel like we're so much better than that. We thrive off of collaborating with each other. We thrive off of being around each other. We thrive off of the human touch. And so my biggest challenge at this point, now that we're hopefully getting maybe to the other side as we head into next year, is okay, how am I going to be a motivation and inspire people to come together again, to work together again, to be together again in a space where you've seen like, okay, it works and we don't have to. So, those are some of the things that I think about. And so as a leader, I feel as though I have to always channel my upbringing, my experiences in order to get through those difficult times. Because for me, it's all about one thing that I pride myself on is work ethic. And I have to make sure that people understand and believe that I will work for them. And that's whether it's me being partner in charge, that's whether me being clients, that's whether even my family, which always comes, with problems because they're like, well, Janica figured it out. And it's, we all have that crazy cousin that's always in trouble. And so it's like, well, it's only so much I can do. Maybe this time you need to sit where you're sitting and just have some time. So those are some of the things that that I highlight. But one thing too, as you talk about my long-term aspirations, it's funny because if I would be lying to you if I said, oh, I always wanted to be partner in charge of a law firm. What I will say is that I have been blessed in a variety of ways because I have been placed in positions that have allowed me to take advantage of opportunities like this. And so I've prior to me being partner in charge in this office, David Butler was partner in charge, and he he was on our executive committee. And so he then I transitioned into his seat for the firm. And so when you're on the executive committee, and you get to see how the firm works, right? You get to see like how the sausage is made, is what they say. But by being in that position, I got to know a lot of people all across the firm. And I think that helped me kind of set up to be in a place where then I could express that I had a desire to lead and then for them to invest in me to do so. So when I think about like long-term aspirations, I always say to myself, could I retire from a law firm? And in my mind, I'm 30, but I'm actually 43. So, you start thinking about that and I'm like, I don't know. So I used to believe that I wanted to at least try out something in corporate America. And I will tell you that I'm not sure what that opportunity looks like. But if I had my wish job, I would be a president and CEO of a nonprofit because I think that it gives me all of the feels I need, but it also gives me the challenges that I need in terms of management, in terms of people, in terms of all of the business that comes with running a nonprofit. But that would be my dream job, just because I love community. I love service. And so that to me is a job that can kind of be all wrapped up all together. And so if I had it my way, that's what I would do. So, but yeah, so I just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts to say that, for me, my highest level of service is my leadership. And And the way that I feel like I can be a great leader is when the two of them come together. When service and leadership connect for me, then I feel like I'm at my best. So I love the holiday seasons because you get out and COVID creates some challenges, but you get to give back. It's all about, there's so many people that are so unfortunate, less fortunate than us, and so we just get to give back. So I got some questions coming in, so I'm going to ask some questions. So when you talk about the new norm post COVID, I think that we're definitely going to have an impact. But I have to be honest and say, like, I thought, how are we going to practice in the area in COVID? And so what worries me the most is not so much what I do, and it's also not so much as what our transactional people do, because I think those kind of things will figure itself out. I worry about like the cases that are in court and the filings that are in court, and your inability to have your day in court, whatever side you may be on. And how do you do that safely in a way that you are not prejudiced? So I worry about that. I worry about how we will get back to a place where we can have people in places like a courthouse. Because I also think that while I think that we can't be in a place where everything is virtual, because not everybody has the tools to do that. Not everybody has internet or computer or whatever in order to have access to possibly have your day in court. So I'm really concerned about that. I'm also concerned about like the workplace in terms of the whole conversation around the vaccine, right? So many people now are talking about the vaccine, and they're saying, well, when the vaccine is here, everything will be better. And I'm not a believer of that. I believe that definitely things will be better, but I don't think that everybody will get the vaccine. So then what do we do, right? And I don't necessarily feel comfortable, because I wouldn't want somebody to ask me, did you get the vaccine? So I don't want to necessarily pose that question to my fellow employees, but at the same time, in order for you to have comfort in collaborating and working with someone else, you're going to want to know, or you're going to need to protect yourself otherwise. So are we in mask a lot more longer? Are we social distancing a lot more longer? And those are the things that I don't know, but those are the things that I think could impact our ability to get back to what is our new normal, whatever that may be, sooner. The question about running for a political office. Oh, Richard, years and years and years ago, I did think about it, and I actually became one of the finalists that the at the time Governor Strickland had to present names for two people to take the bench as he was leaving office for some vacancies. And so I became a finalist through that process. But man, I've gotten wiser. so, so now I think that was a goal that it didn't happen at the time. And in hindsight, it's like, you know what? Thank you, God, for looking out for me. Because it was, I definitely felt like I could have, been a good judge, but I also feel like I do more work in this space that I find more gratification in. I help a lot with a lot of political campaigns, but I mean, over the last, 8 years, the politics have just been so draining. I kudos to people who can, but I think I'll pass on that one. So, but thank you so much for your attention today. And I just wanted to share a little bit about my story. And Chip, thank you so much for having me come share with my fellow Rotarians.
Yep. Well, Janica, thank you for sharing your time with us and sharing your story and your experience. And we wish you the best to continued success in your position and going forward.
Thank you so much. And you all have a happy holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Next week, we're going to hear from the Dean of the OSU College of Engineering, David Williams. We're adjourned. Have a great week.